Hello everyone and welcome to my shed. I am here with a special visitor today and her name is Martha and she's my daughter.
Hello, it's great to be here.
Martha is 18 and she's in her last year at school, and Martha has autism. And some of you have come up with some questions I'm going to ask Martha. And if you have any more questions after you've watched this, then just pop along to my office and put a little note in the Russian doll.
And I haven't seen any of these questions,
Okay,
so I haven't prepared answers.
Not prepared
It's
at
like
all.
a quiz.
Okay, here you go. Question 1. When were you Actually, I think first question, what is autism?
So autism is it's a neurological developmental disorder, and it's a disability, and it basically affects your social interactions with people. It affects how you think. Sometimes it can affect how clever you are, in both ways. Yeah, it's a mental disability, autism. It's a mental social disability.
Okay, and when were you diagnosed with autism?
When I was 13, so when I was in year 9, which was really early for a girl, actually. Most girls are diagnosed when they're quite sort of in their late teens or when they're grown-ups. And boys are diagnosed earlier than girls generally.
And could I ask you why, how you get diagnosed? What happens? Do you go to hospital?
So the way I got diagnosed is when I was in year 5, I was basically really sad all the time. So then I started going to therapy. And then I'm basically going through all these different therapists and all these different mental health professionals. I then got referred to an autism clinic. And when for my diagnosis, I had an appointment with a psychiatrist.
Who's like a doctor of the brain.
And I went in and she showed me little blocks and she was like, put these into a pattern, and she made me make up a story of like a knight and a dragon and a princess. And I just, it was basically just like having a weird conversation with someone, my diagnosis.
Okay. And what would you say are the trickiest things about being autistic? Or what things does it... Okay, so because, say something like dyslexia, probably most of you have heard of dyslexia, and most of you probably know that dyslexia affects how you can read and how you can write, and spelling is tricky too. So I think most of you have probably heard of that. Autism is a bit like dyslexia in that it's just in your brain for your whole life. But what does it affect? What does it make tricky?
So what autism is going to be tricky for me is going to be different. Is going to be different to anyone else with autism, because autism is a really highly individual disability. But I find lots of noises really difficult to handle, especially when they're all quite quiet. So I find it hard to block out noise. Yeah, I find noises hard to deal with primarily, and light touch.
Okay.
Like this.
Okay, do you go to a special school?
No. I considered it when I was in maybe year 10, and I was finding school really difficult because of all my deadlines and all my work, and I was finding friendships really hard, and I considered going to a special school, but it just wasn't the right fit for me. But it could be the right fit for someone else.
How did you feel when you got diagnosed with autism?
I felt really rubbish for a bit. I felt like I was broken, and then I was like, hang on, I can't be broken because I've never been not autistic. It felt weird. Sometimes I feel like maybe it would be better if I didn't know that I had a disability, because then I would maybe push myself harder, or I would, make myself work harder. But I think in terms of my overall happiness, being diagnosed with autism's been really good for me.
Okay, that's really good. Do you have any special abilities?
Yes, I can shoot lasers out of my eyes. I'm joking. I don't have any special abilities. I think autism gives me sort of special interests in some areas. So I'm really interested in sewing, I'm really interested in baking, I'm really interested in politics, and like classical singing. So autism has made me able to pursue more of an interest in those, so I'm better at those things than I think a lot of other people would be.
So you think because your brain is autistic, it helps you to get really, really into things and concentrate on them. Okay, that's good. Do you feel you are treated better in school because people know that you have autism?
No, I think I'm treated the same as someone who wouldn't have autism by my friends. And if you have friends who treat you worse because you have autism, then they shouldn't be your friends, I think.
Yeah.
That was a hard truth that I had to learn, where when I started telling people I was autistic, some people would start to treat me differently, and so I just wasn't friends with them anymore. And you just got to do that. So I don't.
So some
think
people were
so.
a bit mean to you because you were
No,
autistic.
they weren't mean. They were just acted differently, and so I think I'm not treated differently by my peers in school because I have autism. My teachers do sometimes treat me differently, so that they can allow for me to, be happy and be good at school.
So what sort of things might the teachers let you do at school that would make you feel better?
So when I do exams, I'm allowed to have rest breaks whenever I want, so I can say, excuse me, I need to step outside for a second, and I can stay outside for as long as I want, and it doesn't affect my time in case I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm also allowed to type so that my hand doesn't get sore from writing, which can really stress me out.
Yeah.
My teachers are just generally more understanding with work.
Do you get overwhelmed by things, and when do you get overwhelmed?
I get overwhelmed. I mean, yes. I get overwhelmed and I have a lot of sensory inputs when I hear a lot of noises and I have a lot of people touching me. When I have a lot of different tastes in my mouth sometimes, or a lot of different smells.
So does that mean that you don't like tons and tons of different foods? You have your favourite foods and you don't really like trying new things?
I mean, I'll try new foods. I don't like new foods that much. My food palette is mainly beige.
Fish fingers, chips.
Not fish fingers. I barely eat fish fingers.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so is it true that a lot of autistic people get anxious about things? They worry about things?
Yeah, so if you're autistic, it's basically a given that you also have anxiety. So if you're autistic, you actually can't be diagnosed with anxiety because it's assumed that you basically already do have anxiety.
Can you explain what anxiety is? Because I don't know that everyone would know what anxiety is.
So anxiety, the state of being anxious
or worried,
is basically constant worry. And when you have anxiety, that worry is sometimes irrational. So anxiety is basically the idea that you are always worried, and that worry sometimes doesn't make sense, but you're still worried and you can't control it.
Do you feel different to other people? Because, I don't know if you'll know this out there, about 1% of the population is autistic. I think it's more than that.
I think it's more than that.
I think it's way more than that. But officially, it's 1%.
Yeah.
At the moment, dyslexia is officially 10%. So that means 3 people in every class have dyslexia, roughly. And autism, they say 1%. I think it's more than that. But does it make you feel different to people, or like an outsider?
No, I have really good friends. I have a really good support network, and I also have never not been autistic, and I don't know how different other people feel to other people. So I think I feel different by virtue of knowing that I am different. But when I'm hanging out with my friends, I don't feel different.
Okay, well that's great.
Yeah.
Here's a question. What things do you find difficult that people who don't have autism don't find difficult? I think what I think about autism is that we just get stressed out a lot more easily. So I think that anyone would find it really hard to be surrounded by lots of noise, but that autistic people just get overwhelmed a lot more quickly by that. Okay, so it's not like a different sort of thing. It's just you're just a bit stressed out all the time. So people are rushing around and busy. And
I think some people with autism find social interactions really difficult, that neurotypical, which means people without autism, might not find difficult. But I've taught myself how to interact appropriately in social situations, so I don't really find social interaction that difficult. I do find it quite tiring.
You find it really tiring being with people? And so, you said you've taught yourself to... Yeah. Because maybe when you were little in primary school, making friends was something that you found quite tricky. Because you'd say the wrong thing or...
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just... and I don't really want to get into sort of sexism in diagnosing disability, but it's something that girls generally do because girls have more of a pressure to fit in than a lot of boys do.
So sometimes girls hide it a little bit.
Yeah, so I felt the pressure to fit in, and so I would pretend that I was good at social interaction when actually I was just trying really hard.
Okay, here's a question for you. Can you be cured from autism?
No. Also, you can't cure something that is not bad.
Nice. Because it's not a disease, is it?
I can't be cured, A, because autism is lifelong, and B, because there is nothing to cure.
So is that like saying, could you be cured from being called Martha?
Yeah, it's like, excuse me, can you be cured from having a fringe?
No.
You could, actually. You could just grow it out.
I can't. Okay, so you can't be cured from having autism. Next question. Can you catch it from someone else?
No, it's in your brain, and it's like if someone has an extra arm asking if you can catch an extra arm.
Yes, okay, good.
You can't.
Right, so
That's not how it works.
Final question. Do you have any tips for young people who have just found out that they're autistic?
Stay cool.